I wanna just enjoy the game without thinking about how I could tell the world about it, but Metal Hellsinger is an album that comes with a game included that just came out of the demo, which was released back in September 15, 2022. The gameplay combines a movement shooter with a rhythm game. You have to line up your attacks with the drumming beat of the metal music to get the most out of your attacks. It's a highly compelling and intense game. If you like metal and or high octane gameplay, this game is a must play. The game is extremely linear, stage based where you go in, kill enemies, and go out back to the menu. There are only 8 levels total, and each level only lasts for 30 minutes at most. That translates to around 4 hours of gameplay. Extremely short for today's standard. If you've heard of Ultra Kill or Neon White, this follows exactly the same philosophy as those two, namely level-based games. Now, depending on your person, you might think differently on the statement extremely short. This brings me to a discussion about today's topic, a game's value. On the broader gaming community, we have to include the casuals into the mix. See, sometimes those casuals has a very, how do I say this without offending people? Simple way to judge whether a game is worth it or not. See, problem is, usually this method is applied before even the player plays the game, since the main objective is to decide which game is worth the most bang for your buck and time, so you don't waste as much. The method in question is usually cost per hour and replayability, both of which talk about the amount of content in game, but are not quite similar to one another. So I will talk both. Now, how do I begin? Game is an entertainment medium, like movies, like music, or like this video you're watching. Yes, this is not educational. Inside each medium, there is information that we call content. Information as in at its most fundamental level, the interpretation of that which may be sensed. Going from there, you can say content is a unit of information that is within a piece of media. Now, I think it's easier to imagine a game's value with content per dollar. When talking about content per dollar in games, or like I said before, cost per hour, the idea is to measure a game's worth in how much you can get out of said games. There's really not much beyond that. Once you found the cost per cost per hour, it really ends up to you. Is it high enough that you can justify buying it? Or perhaps compare it with another game's content per hour. Fuck! Content per dollar. In any way, it's like a tool to help you measure the value of a game. An example. Ultra Kill is currently $24.99. Let's round it to 25. And on howlongtobeat.com, the main story only took about 3.5 hours to finish. This makes Ultra Kill a value of $7.1 per hour. With that same method, Fallout 76 is a $39.99 game, again rounded to $40, with a main story that'll take 33.5 hours to finish. This resulted in a rock bottom $1.2 per hour. That's a steal compared to Ultra Kill. Do you see the problem now? If you've never heard of Fallout 76, then you probably don't. So let me take this example to the extreme. Diablo Immortal, an absolutely detested game, is a free game. Do you see the problem now? How do you divide by zero? By this logic, no matter how long Diablo Immortal can last you, it's always a great value game, so you should always play it. So now, for the sake of it, we compare it with a game generally accepted. Oh yeah, that's cool. Breath of the Wild. For the sake of the argument on how long to beat, Breath of the Wild took 50 hours to finish the main quest and is priced at $60 on Nintendo eShop. Rounded. This resulted Breath of the Wild with $1.2 per hour. Now I'm just gonna let you do the comparison between Breath of the Wild with $1.2 per hour or Diablo Immortal with $0 per hour. Yeah, how's that working out? I'm pretty sure the origin of this method is well intended, but now it's actually more of a problem than a helping tool. Because there are some arguments floating around supporting this method that echoes with me, yet irk me as well. When we're still a gamer hatchling, we typically don't have that much spending money. There are so many choices, yet you only have, say, $60 for one Christmas. That's one game, or maybe three if you were buying used games. But for an easier argument, let's say it's only one new game to make the comparison easier. One game on Christmas for the whole year until the next one. The idea is to find a game that you can play for a whole year long until you find a new one. I think this is a good justification for the method since you want a game that is bang for your buck. The longer the game, the less time you need to wait after you finish it until the next Christmas. So you can actually justify the use of this method if you're a kid with little money to spend. So hey kids, would you like to play Diablo Immortal?
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
Yes, the method is justifiable, but it's so full of flaws. It doesn't count the quality of the content, only the amount. What if after you buy a game with great value using said method, the quality of the content is so bad you want to erase everything you just played from your head? Like you want to commit a self-lobotomy. The method doesn't count for that, does it? And I see another justification like, this is such a bad game, but because I've gotten enough hours out of this according to the I guess I'm content. I should be content. Stop torturing yourself, please. If you don't like the game, you don't like the game. You don't need to justify it because you don't want to feel like you wasted a good money on a mind-numbing game. Seriously, you don't. Just accept that you wasted good money and move on. Yes, you've wasted your money. Yes, you've done a goof, you silly little goofball. You gumball. You can even shit on the game. Some people may not like it, but at least you're not on copium. And there are ways to shit on the game without triggering as many people, which is infinitely healthier. It's okay to have an opinion derived from your own person, unaffected by anything. Going back from here, the method can also be used contrariwise. Say like Ultrakill or Hellsinger. This guy, let's call him Guy, creative I know, enjoyed every bit of the game. He likes the intense gunplay, the soundtrack, basically everything. But when asked about them, he says, "Oh, these are really good games, but I cannot recommend it because it has so little content to offer. The value to money is so high, it's not worth it." Such is how the method is now used as the main measurement because of overuse, making it entrusted as the true one and only way to measure a game's value. Everything else comes second. I believe the problem rises from the very beginning. Someone thought this is a good idea to measure a game's value. I've said this once, I'll say it again. Games are an art form. Yes, it could be used as an informational or educational piece, but mainly it was created as an entertainment. And just like any other entertainment or art, quantifying it with numbers like math and physics isn't going to work. They are, after all, subjective. It's okay to have an outline to guide your thoughts, like how in drawing you can start with thinking about the composition and balance. But the main line should always be about you. What you want to make, what you felt, what you want to tell to others. In another word, this is a world of selfishness and egoism. There is no objectivity here. The process of quantifying fun is just another excuse for someone to justify their own desire born from the human's ability to reason. As in Vsauce Michael's reasoning from his video, The Future of Reasoning. Speaking of Helsinger, I forgot where I heard this, but there are some words thrown around like game's too short, there's only this amount of stages, it's too easy. Now, I don't know if they're actually a god gamer or they forgot to change the difficulty settings. But the idea with game like this, you know, Ultra Kill Neon White, is that you're supposed to play the stages over and over again. I guess if you're too young, you wouldn't know that games used to be like this or even more primitive. Games today are a very close linear experience. Easiest example like Uncharted. It's a one-off experience, more so for casuals. You go in, you get entertained, you get out. Many games today are like this. Resident Evil, God of War, Tomb Raider. Contrary to this type of games, old games usually stood on arcade machines where you put coins and you can play for one session, counted either with time or stages, or lives. As in, you die 3 times in game, it's game over. You either put another coin or leave. Some of these games have stories, but most of them only sell the experience without any accessories. A beat 'em up game is a beat 'em up, a rhythm game is a rhythm game, and so on. You may see this as a one-off experience that sells one gimmick to be tried once and never again. But in truth, it's not like that. It wasn't designed to be a one-off gimmick, far from it even. Games like this are usually designed with the intention to force the players to play again. Put another coin after one session is finished, despite the players perhaps already exhausted the amount of content there is. The way they do this is by implementing a factor that introduces another value, replayability. This factor is none other than high scores. Scores can be counted differently, but most of them are put on the leaderboard, spiking the competitiveness within players to replay and do better, thus boosting the replayability of such games. So, I can understand that seeing a game with different philosophy, possibly an old one, can be off-putting to modern casual gamers. But even in modern games, there is a community-driven challenge that reminisces on the philosophy of old games, called
speedrunning.
Speedrunning, according to Wikipedia, is the act of playing a video game or a section of a video game with the goal of completing it as fast as possible. It takes on the idea of score-based arcade games where the only challenge is to better your own or other players' score and implements it in modern linear games of today. Obviously, the act of speedrunning itself is a challenge not built into the game itself. The devs did not think of creating such a challenge since the experience they want to confer is one that is already linearly designed.
Unless
Enter indie games. Ultra Kill, Helsinger, Cuphead, Neon White. Well, not limited to indie, but it is most often found in them. Integrated leaderboard or not, only by introducing a score system and can already push a game's replay value through the roof. Provided the base gameplay loop is designed well, which these games are. Seeing as the scores go up, that you have improved, and either putting it on the leaderboard or sharing it on social media is an element strong enough to back another replay for players. Many casual gamers may not understand, but the practice towards perfection is not limited to the hardest hardcore gamers if there is a
Smoking sexy style!
at the right side of your screen. The best way I could explain this in layman's terms so casual can understand is imagine working out. The first time you do, it's hard, it's painful, but only moments after you did it, even though it's a placebo, you always feel healthier, like you did something huge, like you're stronger now. And then that gym bro just went up to you and said,
Hey bro, congrats. It was a tough first day, but you did it. And you did great. Let's work harder tomorrow.
tell me that ain't pushing your confidence. This gym bro is the style mirror. With only confidence in hand, you came back again and again until you catch up with the others in the community, aspiring each other's work of art, exchanging techniques, helping the ones who just started. It's an endless grind for the sake of it and nothing more. The idea may seem absurd, but coupled with a prime gameplay loop, it's always fun to go back and forth, seeing you improve your time until you mastered anything in the game. While the game itself is short, replayability, no matter what form, destroys the method of calculating value by cost per.
Smoking sexy style!
There are some that offer some content, but even without, a well-designed replayable game with no more content to offer will still double or even triple the game's overall value. There is only one challenge left, an endless challenge, the challenge to improve oneself. But what if we count the total amount of gameplay hours instead of just the main story to the method of Gabriel and Ultra Kill? A game that has immense replay value like Ultra Kill that for main plus sides average according to how long to beat has 11.5 hours of content would result in a $2.15 per. That's quite a great value. And that's not counting if you want to pursue a completionist run, which has an average of 29 hours, resulting in a whopping $0.8 per.
Impossible. Hershey. Unspeakable. Hershey. Hershey.
That's not counting the endless grind to perfection. And according to my calculation, it'll take you forever. Therefore, endless amount of content hours. So I guess the problem is now solved, huh? On that same spectrum, I would like to divert a bit to a completely different game. One that has no such thing as replay value. One completely closed off in its own inner circle that has no offer other than its own. One where, if judged by the same method, would have an absolutely abysmal value. Puzzle games, story-based game, or adventure games that have no collectibles or any other accessories to the main game. The content itself has no additional challenge, no randomness factor that will provide a fresh experience if replayed. A one and done deal. If we still use the method of quantifying the value, along with the argument of replayability from before, these one and done games are the worst contender for it. Most of the time, these games wouldn't even have a gameplay loop. I mean, there's no way they would loop a puzzle. Once is phenomenal, but twice is lazy. It has to be fresh. Story-based? Yeah, basically like rereading a novel. It's okay, but that's not exactly fresh. So the first experience they give have to be long enough to define a great value.
Or is it?
I think otherwise. This argument basically expands on the previous one, where the method doesn't consider quality among all things. And while quality content in the context of replayability means an absolute banger gameplay loop that allows high scores that enable good feels when playing, the content of one and done games is more, well, abstract. Games like this typically have to be either novel in their mechanics or absolutely inspirational, and perhaps life-changing as well. Games that, despite no other accessories, would still be able to hold a candle on their own. Portal, they first introduced the idea of non-Euclidean mechanics to the general mass. Outer Wilds' physics system is handcrafted to simulate the real space, like how an astronomical body would react with a flash body. But it's easy to recognize a novel mechanic. How do you consider something inspirational? It's different from person to person, but I'm sure most of us have seen a movie or anime that is highly emotional, either happy or sad. Something so abstract, hardly able to be converted to words. Something that touches the soul, for the lack of better words. Games, as one of the art forms, may as well be able to do this. Something that resonates with us. Something that could teach us a long-used life lesson that changes how you think. Something that makes you start a YouTube channel despite the chance of being watched is abysmal. Now, how the hell do we calculate that? That's the problem I raise. And here is the answer. You can't. Wait, hold on, don't leave. Anticlimactic, I know. But each of us is different. I don't know the shape of your soul. I can't say for sure if something that touched me will affect you in any way. The only way to know, not calculate, is to experience it yourself. And by that point, the method itself will have become obsolete. Like I said, as a guideline before buying, it's fine. But when you already finish the game, that'll just come off as an excuse. So for this one, I don't have the answer for you. I have my answer. You have to search your own. Kinda counterproductive if the point is to buy a game, but it is what it is. You can instead check other people who have already played the game. See if you like what they explain or not. It's much better than numbers on the screen. We're not computers, at least not mechanical. Because of how abstract they are, it also means that they can reach peaks that numbers cannot explain, or even worse at that point. When that happens, I think it's safe to say that no money can ever be worth that experience. That's how valuable the content is. Content so expensive, it cannot be bought with money and can only be experienced once in life. A content that touches the soul. If replayability is content of infinite quantity, these games are content of infinite quality. Both infinites cannot be measured with numbers, except if you bring me the man who knew infinity. Oh. This game is so short. So what? This game has no replay value. So what? Are games so shallow that their worth can only be measured by how long they are? You won't play Ultra Kill if it's not inherently fun. I wouldn't trade in my experience with Outer Wilds even if I could. Instead, I would pay good money to forget everything I've experienced, just so I get that feeling when I played for the first time. Those were the good times. Both the length of the game nor the replayability is not a requirement for a good valued game. Yes, having them is nice, but acting as if they are the golden standard is harming the industry at large. Counting the value would instead incentivize the players, or consumers in this case, to pick games with longer playtime. And if there is a rise in demand, there is a rise in supply, incentivizing the developer to instead focus on increasing playtime instead of the quality of it. The numbers of dollars you spend should not be compared with how much time you played. It should have been compared with fun, or how moving it is, or any other value in your head. But if I can't even name it, how should we implement it to numbers? Well, as an up-and-coming new world thinker, I would like to propose a proposal of new, never-seen-before method. It's called good game or bad game, in which you